Hello everybody and welcome to our channel, Paranormal Contact. This is a little bit of a different thing that we're going to give a try to today. So normally we go out, we do investigations, we do a little bit about ghost stories and things like that. I thought it would be nice if we did a little bit of talking and you got to know Dave a little bit better. So I'm going to do a little podcast with Dave today and I'm going to talk to him all about him. It's all about you today, Dave. I'm going to ask him some questions about the paranormal. I'm going to get his views on some things. I'm going to get his views on some silly things that are nothing to do with the paranormal as well. Hope it will give you a bit of an insight into what Dave's about. So hope you enjoy what we're about to do. So here we go. So Dave.
Yes.
How did you first get interested in the paranormal?
Right, so it stemmed from when I was a kid, probably quite young, very young actually to be fair, probably about 5 or 6.
Yeah.
If you really want me to be 100% honest, it's the first time I watched Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
That's
showing your age, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. And then obviously things started happening in the house. Not because I watched Ghostbusters, there were just some unexplained things that were going on.
Yeah.
Which, at that age, I'm not going to lie, it scared me. I didn't understand what was going on.
No, of course not.
But that's kind of the ground root of, where my love for the paranormal come from.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
And obviously, as time went on, as I grew up, these experiences become a lot more dominant with certain things going on in the house. Then you start watching your program. I think the one program that stood out for me when I was younger was the program Strange But True with Michael Aspel.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I remember watching the first episode of that, and I think I scared myself so much. I didn't actually sleep that night. To be fair, it's a great little series. But that first episode, I remember the story about. I think it was in a mansion, castle, or something like that, and somebody was going to sleep, and then somebody sat, or an unseen figure or spirit sat at the end of the bed.
Yeah.
And of course, for I don't know how many months after that, I just thought somebody's going to sit on the end of my bed at some point.
Well, it is unnerving when someone sits on the bed in the middle of the night.
That's basically where it stemmed from.
Cool.
And then it just progressed from there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good insight into where it's come from, and it's just grown over the years, I guess,
it grew stronger as I went through throughout the years. Different paranormal experiences in the house.
Yeah.
Obviously, with me doing the home investigations at the moment, finally actually investigating.
Yeah.
After 39 years of living there.
Yeah.
And then got opportunities to investigate places.
Yeah.
I started investigating back in early 2017.
Yeah.
And then just kind of progressed even further from there.
Yeah. Cool.
Still learning now.
Everybody's learning. Can you tell me about an experience when you believe you may have made contact with an actual spirit?
Well, I'll be honest. I'll put it like this, is that while living at home, I would say all I did have was just experience paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
When I went out investigating.
Yeah.
Whether it was the first team or with Kelly, spirit team and all that kind of stuff. I've been in some of the most haunted places in this country.
Yeah.
And there have been times where you think you had, for instance, the Green Dragon, where I was in the attic.
Yeah.
Knock-up responses and all that kind of stuff. There's still a little bit of doubt that comes with that, I have to be honest with you.
So in a way, you're still a little bit sceptical then. You've had some experiences, but you couldn't really put it down and say, I'm 100% convinced then. Would that be true? Would that be fair?
It's a fair comment, but the home investigation I did the other day.
Yeah, I watched that. It was good.
I honestly, truly believe that I was actually communicating with my gran.
I could see that in your face on that one. I could see you were visibly quite shocked.
Yeah, it was. That was the first time I was actually thought I'm actually having a conversation.
Yeah.
With a spirit.
Yeah.
With my granny at that as well. So, yeah, but through other investigating experiences, apart from the Green Dragon, I would say full-on conversation.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's fine. That's what it's all about, isn't it? So I'm having trouble with my notes, by the way. So I've got some notes just to follow. So have you ever felt threatened by a ghost or a spirit when you thought, is there something here? Is there something? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know, have you felt that fear?
Yeah. Yeah, I felt
Tell us what that's like.
horrible. To be honest, I'd have to be honest, it's not a nice feeling at all. You remember when we were in North Newton Church?
Yeah, I do.
I felt uneasy.
Yeah.
Wanted to get out.
Yeah.
So I've had that in different locations,
Mm-hmm.
and the one place that sticks out for me, that really unnervy kind of, I don't feel good, we shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
In a certain respect, there's a certain part at Fort Woodley.
Yeah.
It just felt wrong, felt off, felt like we shouldn't be there, and we were probably antagonising something that we probably shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So
not a good feeling.
it wasn't a good feeling in any way, shape or form. You just, I don't know how to explain the feeling as such. I just know that at the time, it felt like we were stoking a fire.
Yeah.
Something really bad.
Yeah.
And it almost felt like we shouldn't be doing it. And it's that case of like, we better leave now before something goes.
It's interesting that, like you say, you're not totally convinced, yet you still feel that there was something there, sort of in the background that could come forward at any point. And
that's what it felt. That's exactly how it felt. Actually, to be fair, it felt like something was just waiting,
yeah,
waiting and waiting for the perfect time to do something, and really put the fear of God in it. To be fair,
yeah,
and that's how it felt. Like the best way I can describe it is just, you know, like when a snake is about to strike.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. You keep stoking the fire, you're going to get burned.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it felt at that certain time. And I do believe that Fraser even got scratched on that same night.
Cool. Okay, so a couple of little in-depth questions there. So now I'm going to go a little bit light-hearted for a while.
All right.
So this gives us an insight into what your personality is. So when you get home tonight,
yep,
alien spaceship lands in your back garden just as you're getting out of the car. You pull up in your car, the alien spaceship's in your garden, a little door comes down, little man comes out, stands on the spaceship and says, "Come on in, Dave." What are you going to do?
Probably say no, probably because I want to go to bed. I'll just tell them to go and find somebody else. I'm not available.
You don't think you'd like to go for a ride in an alien spaceship?
No, I don't think so.
You'd stay on this planet.
You know, I don't know what they do to you, do you?
No. Why do that bum stuff? We don't want
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to be probed.
Okay. What's your favourite place that you've ever investigated, or your favourite place to investigate?
Again, it's Fort Woodley.
Yeah.
By far. So if you take away that negative element I was just talking about, Fort Woodley to me is somewhere I'm drawn to.
Yeah.
I've been there 4 times actually, I believe. One hosting an event, 2 events, and then 2 other times investigating. The first night we ever went there was just, I was drawn in. I feel, the only way I can explain it, and this is the best way I explain it, is I'm drawn to the place.
Yeah. I
feel comfortable in the place. So apart from like I said, the negative aspect that we had later on in the night.
Yeah.
In the main building, I just felt at home. I just felt like I should be there.
So I would say from hearing you talk about that, you're very enthusiastic. That's something that we may have to put on our list for the future.
I would say so, yeah. I would like to go back there again.
Right. So watch this space, because Fort Woodley may be something that we go and have a look at. It's Dave's favourite place to investigate. So I think that's going to be added to our list very soon.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. So other than the paranormal, what other interests have you got? I know you've got a couple of other YouTube channels that you do. little bits and pieces. But what other interests have you got going down?
Well, I love movies.
Yeah.
Straight away. Bit of a movie buff.
Yeah.
All sorts of different movies. I love walking.
Yeah.
I love being out the countryside. I love being outside.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a gardener, or grass cutter, whichever.
Yeah.
I do the odd food challenge.
I've seen some of those.
Yeah.
Quite messy.
Yeah, they are quite messy. Apart from that, there's all sorts I'm interested in.
I know you do a little bit of because you used to go to sort of the keep fit stuff and doing that for a while. Weren't you?
Doing all the be fit.
Which is something I could do with doing, obviously.
Been up a few mountains.
Yeah.
Done a few runs.
Yeah. So obviously the paranormal is quite a big collection of things, paranormal, like you say. But obviously we mainly focus on ghosts and spirits, that type of thing. But what's your opinion on things like Bigfoot and the big cats that so-called get seen over Salisbury Plain and things like that? So more the cryptid side of the paranormal. Do you think there's anything to be had in that?
If I go on the line of Bigfoot first,
yeah,
I have seen quite a few videos. I don't follow it as much as what you do. I am still very sceptical.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they don't exist.
Yeah.
It's just that there's very limited footage.
There is, yeah.
Of Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the only concern about me. I can quite believe maybe they do exist. Yeah. But until I see some real good solid footage,
you're going to stay sceptical. So
I will stay on the fence.
So for the record, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a total believer in Bigfoot, but it's one of my favourite. I love to look at the videos of Bigfoot. I love to have a little ponder. I wonder if there could be any in this country. I mean, it's more of an America thing, really, Bigfoots. But I think there's the possibility that there are certain things in this country, in some of our forests and things like that. And it's something else that me and Dave have talked about possibly having a look into in the future to add some more content into our channel.
Quite open to
having a look.
Having a look.
Yeah. Cool.
But big cats wise, I can quite believe that. Especially on the Salisbury Plain, because there have been so many reports.
There's been a lot of reports.
So many reports of, is it lynx?
Yeah, there's tales that there could well be, Black Panthers and things like that. And I think the plain's big enough for them to possibly exist on. Yeah. Especially if you go into the fringes, into the wooded areas and things like that, Yeah,
definitely.
Something for the future. Again, you may see something on that line cropping up on our channel. Yeah. So, going back to the spirit side of things and ghosts, do you think ghosts or spirits can harm us? Yeah. You do? Physical harm or mental harm or?
I mean, we're going down the line of attachments. So yeah. I mean, I have to be honest. Yeah, especially if you get like a severely negative spirit. Yeah. Potential poltergeist activity. Yeah. So yeah, I can quite believe it can harm me. And plus, I have seen plenty of footage. Yeah. Plenty of footage of people being hurt on an investigation. Yeah. In fact, I even watched a video earlier on today where apparently somebody got scratched just above the eye. So, yeah. So yeah, I can quite believe that
they are capable of doing us some harm.
A positive spirit, like a friendly positive spirit. No, I can't imagine them doing it, but there are negative spirits out there. Yeah. Poltergeist activity. You could go down the lines of demons, but then again, I'm still quite on the fence about demons. And again, I'm not saying they're not true. It's just I've never actually experienced it myself.
You're the same as me until you actually experience it. Yeah. I've had some experiences which we'll talk about on another episode, but I think until you do have the experience, it's the sensible thing to do, just to keep open-minded, because there's so many things out there that we can't explain. That doesn't mean that they cannot be explained. It's just at that point you can't explain what you've seen or what's happened. So
this is why it's always important to protect yourself before an investigation, which I have to hold my hands up. I'm a little bit guilty of not doing sometimes.
I do try to. Yeah. I have done it on a couple of our investigations, but again, sometimes you just get scooped up in the moment and you're
well, again,
going.
Yeah, well, again, it's the same when we went to Groveley Woods. The first proper investigation we did there. And to cut a long story short, I'll give a brief outline of what the ghost story is. It's in one of the 5 ghost stories of Wiltshire anyway.
Yeah.
Is 4 sisters were bludgeoned to death, and 4 trees were planted above the burial sites. Lots of teens have gone there and investigated and all that kind of stuff. And there's a big circle, a wooden circle, and lots of different trinkets hanging off the tree.
Yeah.
And we went there to investigate, and you're supposed to leave a gift.
Yeah.
So on that night, I forgot to bring a gift, and I was also quite superstitious about stepping into the circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were using the spirit box, and I remember that I asked, just like, can I step in? And we were 100% sure. Say it went no.
No, right.
You can't. And then I made a stupid mistake, and I have to be honest with you, I made a stupid mistake. I went, I'm going to step in anyway.
Yeah.
And I walked in. The second time I got that wrong. The first time I didn't have a trinket to leave. The second time I had something to leave, but I was asking permission to go in. It went no. So I stepped in anyway.
Yeah.
I then put down the gift immediately through the spirit box. It said out.
Right.
Just one single word, out.
Yeah.
Didn't think anything else of it. We wrapped up the investigation. I dreamt about something that would.
Yeah.
Potentially 4 sisters for 3 nights.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Interesting, isn't it? Because there's a connection there possibly between dreams and spirits and things like that. So
the most intriguing thing about that dream is that I wasn't the only one out of that team to have those dreams.
Wow. Cool.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. If you were asked to take part in a session using a Ouija board, you know what a Ouija board is, for those of you who don't, it's a device so-called to communicate with spirits. Basically, it's a board with letters and symbols and numbers on it, and a yes and a no. Would that something you would be prepared to do?
I have actually done a Ouija board.
Have you?
Just the once on an investigation.
Yeah.
Didn't get anything through as such. Would I participate in another one again? In the right circumstances.
Yeah.
As long as there's plenty of protection.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people around that I trust, and
That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very not anti-Ouija board. That's the wrong word, but I would just be very, very cautious from my point of view of using one.
Yeah.
Very cautious.
Definitely.
Okay. What's your favourite piece of equipment that we use on investigations?
Oh.
What do you enjoy using the most? Or?
It's always going to be a mixture between the digital recorder and the spirit box.
Yeah.
Yeah, by far. Yeah. That they are the 2 bits of kit that I like to use the most.
Yeah.
But honestly, there's plenty of other bits of kit out there, like REM pods, mail meters.
Yeah.
With the REM pods built in, they're actually quite a good bit of kit. Just the single REM pods, they're pretty good. We haven't got any of them. But
do you think you like the digital recorders and the spirit box because it's very clear if you do get an answer or something like that?
Yeah, you mean essentially, you're hearing their potential voice. So that's one of the reasons I enjoy using it. But there's all sorts of different bits of kit out there, and some bits of kit work to communicate with spirits, and other kits. I'm not saying they don't work. It's just that maybe that spirit at that time would prefer to use, say, a digital recorder instead of a spirit box, or even just using one of the mail meters or REM pods to try and communicate. Yeah. That you get what I'm trying to say? It's just like, it will depend. But always for me, definitely a digital recorder or a spirit box.
Cool. Okay.
But that being said, I'll just add to that the apps, which I've now been starting to turn, especially after the investigation. Then especially the Ghost Tube app that I've got. Yeah. That's proven to be quite a useful bit of kit too.
So me and Dave have had quite a lot of conversations between ourselves about the apps and things. about whether they work, whether they don't work, whether they're set up, whether they're not set up. I've always been not a total believer in the app, but I do believe that spirits can use the app to communicate. So that doesn't mean I don't think sometimes you get a complete load of old rubbish on the app, because you do. But I also think if you're in the right place at the right time and it all starts to click in and make sense, that's more than just a coincidence.
A perfect example is the investigation at home.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example. On the Sunday, the word church comes through 3 times.
Yeah.
There were other words that come through, and the second night, or the second investigation I did, the first word that come out was grave.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, is this a continuation from the conversation? Then it went smoke. I had a cigarette in my hand.
Yeah.
And obviously so on and so on and so on with the
Yeah.
granny, and it all connected. There's a lot of words that come through there, like attic come up twice.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of words you have to dismiss, but I only dismissed them because I was focusing on the church, the graveyard, trying to establish why the word church came up so many times, why the word grave come up, and then obviously grandma.
Yeah.
Confused.
Well, I had a similar experience with the app in the graveyard at Ham on the investigation we did, where I'm stood in front of my granddad's grave and that app suddenly said grandchild. And obviously at the time, I didn't know the other words were connected, but speaking to some other family members, I found out that they definitely were.
Yeah. But it's like...
Excuse me 1 second. Sorry about that. Slight interruption.
But again, at Ham Churchyard, at home, they could be some of the biggest coincidences ever.
They could be, yeah. They could be.
There's a bigger part of me thinking, I actually was communicating with my grandma.
Yeah.
But before that investigation on Tuesday, I was still on the fence.
Yeah, yeah. But you're coming round to them a little bit more now, aren't you, I think?
I was on the fence with the apps.
Yeah.
But I was also quite sceptical. I'm off the fence.
Good.
I'm off the fence.
I think they're a useful tool. I think, like anything, you don't have to accept everything you see, but if things start to fit and it starts to make sense, I think you could be onto something, even just using a very simple app. Yeah. Who knows how spirits do actually communicate, what they can do? I don't think anyone can say they do. So I think if they want to use the app, they are capable of using it.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at it as another tool to try and communicate.
Yeah. So, another question for you, Dave. God. Do you believe in God? Do you have any sort of a religious belief at all, or a belief in a greater being? Do you think it's interesting because a lot of people are prepared to believe in spirits and things like that, but they don't necessarily seem to believe in God. However, you sort of think if you're going to believe in God and spirit, if you're going to believe in spirits and demons, you've got to also have some sort of a faith in God. Faith is perhaps too strong a word. A belief in some sort of a being maybe to go along with it. What do you think?
All right, so I am not a strong believer in God, but I also believe that there is potentially something.
Yeah.
All right. And this just has to be honest. It's a toughy question because
I know for me what I will say, and I think you're probably a similar vein to me listening to what you're saying there. So I don't believe in God as in big guy with a beard sat up in the clouds.
Right. But
I do believe there's some sort of a higher power somewhere out there. It's not necessarily a being, it's a force, is my sort of belief. There's something out there that is that force of nature, I suppose. And the word that most people use to describe that is God.
Yeah.
I'm not a total believer in he's the what's the word? This big omnipotent being that sits up there and judges us and does all that. I'm not sure about that side of it,
No.
but I'm pretty convinced that there is this higher power that's out in the universe that is interested in what we do and has an effect and can have an effect on what we do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably go on the same lines as that.
yeah.
If I was it's just honest. It's just an honest thought, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, do you believe in angel numbers?
Yeah. I do.
Yeah. Same here.
And again, I always think that people attach words and names to things, and straight away you say the word angel and it conjures a picture in your head.
Yeah.
You say the word God, it conjures this picture in your head. But I think that's something to do with how we're educated, how we're brought up. I do think those things are there and they're real, but I don't think they're necessarily these little sort of fluffy, nice creatures. I don't think necessarily angels are just spirits of white light and beauty. I think they've got, if you investigate about angels and look at what they were, they've got the power to do pretty nasty things to people, destroy thousands of people. So, I think if you want to keep it real, you've got to realise that if they are a being, they've got the capability to be good. They've also got the capability to destroy and to, scare the living crap out of us if they want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's an interesting subject.
Yeah.
It's a difficult. I wouldn't say it's a difficult subject to talk about. It's just if you're not. It's just for me. There is some sort of, like you said, higher power out there.
Yeah, that's what I think. Certainly what I think. So, moving on from that one a little bit.
Would you like a cup of tea with that?
We're being offered tea, which is always a good thing. We'd
Tea
love a
and
cup of tea.
biscuits.
We'd love a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Would you like a cup of tea with that?
You're on video. Some editing to do there, Dave. So
Might keep that in there.
it's fine. Thoughts on crop circles. So we've done a video on crop circles, which sort of, it made me laugh a little bit because we did a crop circle on a place where there was a crop circle, but it had gone.
Yeah.
Which was quite funny for us when we live in Wiltshire and there's crop circles all over the place. But at the point of wanting to do a video on it, we couldn't find one. So we found where there was one. What's your thoughts on them?
Okay, so this is quite an easy one for me. Well, I wouldn't say it was easy actually, but it's quite an easy thought for me. So I've seen many crop circles over the years.
Yeah.
I've seen live in Wiltshire, it's road for them, especially during the summer.
Yeah.
And they're not as frequent these days, are
No,
they?
I don't think they are, not these days, no.
But as a kid, they used to pop up all the time.
Yeah.
And, I look at them and go, yeah, that's man-made. You look at some of them and go, that's man-made. There was a few that popped up and I was just like looking at them and going, I want to say it's man-made. You tell me how somebody can get that so complicated and so perfect.
Yeah.
In the dark.
Yeah. I think it's a great enigma. Crop circles, for me, they're just a great enigma. They could very easily be made by men. Even the complicated ones, if people are organised and they've got it planned out, I think it's possible they can be. But I think when you look, for me, again, I'm interested in looking back at the history because I was around when crop circles sort of started becoming a big thing, right? Sort of back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And there was a great vibe at that time. There really was a great vibe of what is this thing? Because there was also the UFO thing going on at the time, lots of that. And being a circle shape and a UFO was a circle shape, people tied that together, Whatever it is, whatever it was, I don't think we can ever say we'll truly know. But it's certainly made some great talking points, and there's been some amazing crop circles. I guess you're like me. If I saw one appear before my eyes in front of me, well, I'd be 100% believer. But until that point, until there's something that you can actually say, well, I just cannot explain this, I've got to be on the fence for crop circles, which is hard for me to say because I'd love to believe that they are something, caused by nature or caused by something, but I don't think I can.
Lights just start flickering as you were talking about that.
I've been noticing it slowly
Try.
happen.
Okay, technical problems. All good programs get technical problems, but not all good programs get tea, which sounds like it's likely to be arriving any minute.
I reckon.
We've talked a little bit about the spirits. We've talked about all this sort of stuff. Do you think there's any scientific basis for any of it? Do you think any of it can be explained with science at the moment? Do you think maybe it might be explained with science in the future? Is there anything you can look at and think maybe that's a scientific reason or a connection as to why this happens? I would give an example of something like, so you have things like with the Big Hadron Collider, they've been doing experiments with that. If you look at it from the point of view of everything is made up of sort of particles, atoms and things like that, are we actually getting some of those atoms and things like that? Is that what's left, just atoms of people that we're actually trying to communicate with, and somehow there's, for want of a better word, a soul left in parts of those atoms?
This is intriguing because I'm sure there's some sort of scientific explanation. I have to be honest, I haven't read too much into that kind of side of it.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. But when we died, us now, got energy, got soul, got life, got, spark.
Yeah.
And you die. Does it just disappear?
Where does it go?
Does it just end when you die, or does that energy, that soul spark, however you want to describe it, just get released?
Go back into the ether somewhere.
Somewhere along those lines.
Yeah. And maybe there's a little bit of whatever, a bit of all of us floating around somewhere that is what we're communicating with,
Remember, your heart is run on like electricity, like a spark. Keep it going.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe. I don't refuse to believe it. It's just in my head, the way I think my thought pattern is that we've all got this kind of energy. Everybody's different. Everybody's, it's got to go somewhere. In my head, it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's my theory of it. Whether it can be explained scientifically, I haven't honestly looked at a lot of scientific stuff to try and explain paranormal and such. And I have to be honest, I haven't. But I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never really gone into depth with it. No. So in my head, I'm sure some of it can.
Yeah. I think you've got to bear it in mind, because I'd love to be able to explain what some of the things that people see and hear are.
Yeah.
If there's a reason, I'd like to think we're open-minded enough to accept some of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, short break. Great. So, Dave, next question that we were talking about. Thoughts on UFOs? So, I'm a big believer in UFOs, or a believer of something that's up there and out there. Not necessarily big aliens coming down from the sky, but I believe that certainly things I've seen in the sky that I can't explain. What's your thoughts on that?
Alright, so we spoke about this before.
Yeah, we have many times.
So, basically, the way I see it is that in a universe that never ends, it doesn't end, there's no brick wall at the end of the universe. Mm-hmm. And if there is, what's behind the brick wall?
Mm-hmm.
So we live in a universe that never ends, it goes on for millions and millions of light years. And it's a very naive notion, in my personal opinion, to think that we are the only planet that can sustain life. Mm. Now, I'm not saying that aliens are like what you see in the movies, the big heads, big eyes, and all that kind of stuff. Mm. I would say that they're either like us, gone through the evolution chain, maybe less evolved, maybe more evolved.
Yeah.
Maybe they have got the technology to travel here.
Yeah.
Or so on and so on and so on. But it's just a really naive notion to think that we're the only planet out of the whole of the universe which never ends that can sustain life.
Yeah, I go along with that totally. I'm a believer in other dimensions, so I believe there could be other dimensional beings travelling through into this dimension.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe you don't even have to go as far as saying there's other planets. It's just could be other dimensions in this area that cross into this realm and into another realms, and beings as they progress, I suppose, learn how to travel between those dimensions. And then, of course, you get into time travel and all the other stuff that goes with it. It's all theory.
Yeah.
A lot of it, I suppose, people would class as science fiction, but there's so many stories and tales about things that have happened along those lines about, time travel, interdimensional travel. I just think there's a kernel of truth in there somewhere that you've got to try and find.
The thing that really gets me is that we are never really going to know in our lifetime.
Possibly not. No.
Possibly not, unless some big alien ships come down here tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And if I look out my window tomorrow morning and see a big alien ship outside my window, I'll go, yeah, I believe in aliens.
But you've already said you're not getting on it. See, I'm completely the opposite to you. If it landed in my garden tonight, I'd be on it.
No, there's no chance.
I'm out there, in there, gone.
I'll just stay in bed.
I'll just go and have a little travel round. Take the risk. Life's too short.
No, to me, like I said, to me, it's just we just cannot be the only planet in this universe that goes on for millions of light years.
We can't be alone.
It's
just got to be something else out there.
Again, I'm not saying
I think the very fact,
green.
Yeah, even if you don't believe, if you're a total skeptic and you think all crop circles are made by people, all UFOs are just people's imagination, that's an interesting concept in itself, because I think the people who are doing the crop circles and looking for the aliens in the sky, they want to believe in something. It's a natural feeling that we want to believe that we're not alone. We want to believe there's other things out there.
I do, but I honestly believe that I do believe that there's another planet out there.
Yeah.
Or planets.
Yeah.
Out there which have got life on them.
Cool. Let's hope one day we find out for real.
You never know.
Maybe we could go and investigate one.
That cost a pretty little penny.
Yeah. Interesting, our light keeps flashing on and off.
I know, you've seen that. I keep noticing it.
Yeah. It's never done that before. So when we're doing investigations, some things I've noticed, and we both do this. Sometimes you can walk into a room and the heckles go up and the hairs on your arms stand out and you feel temperature seems to change and stuff. Do you think that you can sense when there's something around, a spirit or a ghost, just by things like that? Do you
100%.
think that's possible? Yeah.
100%. Without a shadow of doubt. I'm not medium, but the one thing I do know...
No, you're like me, you're large.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll take that one. Like I said, I'm not a medium as such, but the one thing I do know is I know my own senses.
Yeah.
I know what I'm feeling. I know what I'm sensing. I know that if I can go into a building which isn't necessarily haunted. If I get a vibe from it, I'm getting a vibe. End of story.
I've certainly been with you on investigations where we've gone into rooms and both of us have gone, oh my God, look at the hairs on my arm. Oh, I can feel shivers down my spine. It's a real thing as far as I'm concerned. It certainly happens. I don't know if it's a forewarning that something's going to happen or a forewarning that something's there, but I've experienced it, you've experienced it. It's just strange, isn't it? And sometimes you get nothing more than that too. You can use all your devices and all your other things and you can't seem to get anything.
The best way I can describe some of the experiences I've had is, you know when somebody comes into your space, walks up on you in your space.
Yeah.
Okay. And you'll look around or something along those lines, and there's somebody there.
Yeah.
So when we go in, and I've had this, not just when we've investigated, when I used to investigate
spiritism
and all that kind of stuff, I had been in there and I just felt like somebody just walked straight up on me.
Yeah.
Like literally, we're talking like in my face, kind of close. Because you just feel a difference. Yeah.
Cool.
So, 100%, I can walk into a building.
And you get that feeling.
I can sense stuff.
I think I'm the
around
same.
me.
I feel something if, you know.
If it feels wrong, it feels. I
it
just
does.
know. I just know because my attitude completely changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if it feels good and positive, it's just like, okay, all right, there's something here.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel there.
Okay. So, on the subject of not going too dark, I'll have a little light-hearted question.
Right.
What's your favourite fictional character or cartoon type character or maybe Marvel character? I know what you're going to tell me, but go on, tell us.
Batman, wouldn't it?
Batman.
Always be Batman.
Why? Why Batman? What is it about Batman that drags you in?
Well, first of all, it's the 1960s Batman is the first Batman I ever watched.
Yeah,
And
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I was just like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's campy, cheesy,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I thought, yeah, that's still pretty cool. And then I remember the first time I watched the 1989 Batman movie, and I was probably about 12.
Yeah.
And that really just kind of accelerated the love of Batman for me.
Yeah.
That was it.
And he's been the one ever since.
Always
Yeah.
the one. Always.
Brilliant.
No one can ever change that.
No, that's cool.
And people have tried.
So we're going to move on a little bit with a couple of other questions. We're not going to do too much more now. I think we've done quite a good look at Dave. But I've got a couple of other little questions for you, Dave. So another thing that interests me very much is the pyramids and ancient Egypt and all that type of stuff, which again is another whole new ball game. What do you think about the pyramids? What do you think they were built for? Why do you think they're there? Who do you think made them?
Knowing I don't know too much about the pyramids, I can't go too into depth with what I think the pyramids are made for.
Yeah.
Who made them? My honest opinion is that I think the Egyptians were just very, very intelligent.
Yeah.
And very, very good builders.
We could have a big argument about that because I don't think the Egyptians made them at all.
I do not.
No, completely different. But that's another episode. This is Dave's day.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I don't necessarily know. I don't know a huge amount about the pyramids to actually comment too much on it. But I just think that they're an incredible bit of engineering.
Whoever
made them.
All I will say is there's an awful lot of stone piled on top of each other there.
Yeah.
There was never any bodies found in them, so I don't think they're tombs. I've got my opinions as to what they are. Let's be honest, all the pharaohs and all the kings of Egypt are all buried in other tombs. There's never been a body found in a pyramid or a mummy found in a pyramid. So why are we saying that that's what they're made for? I think there's other reasons. But we'll go into that another day.
I'd like to comment more on it and I'd like to have a bit more of a conversation.
Something for you to have a little investigate of yourself.
I'd never investigate, never read it.
We live in a beautiful country, don't we? In a beautiful county in Wiltshire, in the UK. What's your favourite place in Wiltshire?
Favourite place in Wiltshire? Avebury.
Hey, we agree on something. Mine
Avebury,
too.
by far.
I love Avebury.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the place as such. It just carries a strong vibe, or
yeah. So for those of you who don't know, obviously we're not far from Stonehenge, which is the big famous one. Everybody knows about Stonehenge, but there is a beautiful stone circle that is completely open to the public at a little place called Avebury. An Avebury stone circle for me is just far more interesting than Stonehenge. It's got a lovely vibe to it. As you said, you can just walk around it. If you're feeling stressed and you're feeling, a bit down, it's a great place to go to lift your spirits. It always feel good when I've had a walk around Avebury.
Always, every time. It's steeped in history as well.
Yeah.
You've got Silver Hill
not
See
far from it.
not far
Yeah,
from it. You got the West Kent Long
West
Barrow.
Kent Long Barrow, all around that area is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, just to
Yeah.
walk around, you know, and then you got the museum.
Yeah,
It just feels good. It feels.
yeah. It's interesting. We both like the same place on there. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty well going to bring this to a close now, Dave. We're nearly at the end of it.
Right.
I've got one big question for you to finish on,
Right.
and it's just a yes or no answer. Don't need an explanation. I know you'll find that tough because you like to give me an explanation. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes,
Cool.
I do. You know, it's simple. You know, I could give you an explanation. I could talk about different things all the time, but however much I said that I've been on the fence over the last few months, and I'm not going to lie, there was a part of me that stopped believing
Yeah.
at a certain point.
Mm.
And that's not because I don't know why I stopped believing, but recently I've said that I was on the fence, but deep down in my gut,
I've always known that. I've always known you believe.
I wouldn't go investigating if I didn't believe it.
No.
It's
And
that simple.
And I believe. I've got my own reasons for believing. Again, we'll maybe cover that somewhere in a later date.
Yeah.
But so hope you've enjoyed our little chat with Dave. I hope you've got to know him a little bit better through that. If you've enjoyed what we do, let us know. You know, if you think we could do some more of this, that's great, let us know. But really from us, I think it's, you know, like and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to put out as much content as we can at the moment. We have a genuine interest in what we do. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. See you later.